Hi friends, it's Pastor Tim and I have a warning for you. They're back. I went to the hardware store yesterday and out in front of the hardware store under a little canopy were these cute little scouts selling their Boy Scout treats. And you know how it is. You walk past and you try not to look at them because they're so cute and they try to get your attention and they ask if you want to buy something, and then when you don't, you feel what? Guilty. And then they add to the guilt when you say no thank you by saying, well, thank you, have a good day, sir. You know that feeling, don't you? Watch out. They'll be out in front of a Publix or a Winn-Dixie or a hardware store near you. You know, I hate that feeling, and I never want to come across that way with you or with anyone when it comes to the resourcing of our church. One of the things that we realize is that guilt is never a positive motivation. Grace is what the Bible promotes as a positive motivation for living life and for how we give of ourselves in any and every way. In Colossians chapter 1, Paul says to the Colossian church, the gospel is bearing fruit throughout the world since you first heard of it and understood God's grace. Now listen to that. Understood God's grace. Bearing fruit is connected to understanding God's grace. Things happening that are good, that are godly, making an impact in this world are connected to you and me understanding God's grace. That's connected to bearing fruit. When you understand God's grace, then guess what? You can receive it. Because you know you don't have to earn it. You don't have to feel guilty about it. It's a free gift given to you by God because of Jesus, where you can love and accept yourself, others, and love God. Where you can give freely of yourself because of how freely God has given to you the abundant life that God has given to you and me. And so it totally reframes how we think about giving of ourselves in any way, in relationships, with our neighbors, or even in the church. We give with grace because we've received it so abundantly and so freely. We give because of grace, the grace of Jesus Christ, understanding it, and because we want to bear fruit in the world. That's what the church is all about. That's what our ministries are all about. And we began to talk about this last week in the video section of our Tmail. And some of you have asked, how can I give in different ways? Can you spell that out a little bit more so that I can help bear fruit and be faithful as a disciple of Christ who has received grace? And so here are some of the ideas that we want you to consider. The first one is electronic giving. Makes it easy, just like paying bills. My wife Lisa and I have our church on bill pay through our bank, just like all of our other bills. It's simple, it's easy, don't have to think about it. It's regular, it's every month. I would encourage that. You can also text give. You can go on our website and use the link to give electronically. Those are fantastic ways to give, and I want to encourage you to do that. Some people have said, well, is there an extra need? And I would want to encourage anyone who has some margin in their resources to give an extra $5 a week. That's it. That's it. If everyone did that, it would be a huge difference maker in this season that we're in as a church. And it's challenging for all businesses and all churches all throughout the country and throughout the world. So we appreciate your prayerful consideration of that. And one last idea, for those of you for whom it applies, I think you have to be 62 and a half or maybe older. The IRA minimum distribution requirement, that's something that's required if you have an IRA. And consider the church as a beneficiary of that distribution. All of this is not at all motivated by guilt. Don't look at me as a Boy Scout, but rather understanding and receiving God's grace freely and lovingly, helping us all as those who are carrying out the mandate of Christ to make an impact and bear fruit in this world. God bless you. We love you, and we'll see you soon.